In 1976, David Bowie was living in a Los Angeles mansion with the windows blacked out, a fridge full of milk and peppers, and a pile of books on magic next to his bed. He hadn't slept in days. He thought witches were after him. He saw bodies falling past his window, and he was convinced that Jimmy Page was trying to curse him. This wasn't a role. This wasn't performance art. This was a man losing his grip on reality. This is the true story of when David Bowie lost his mind. By 1972, David Bowie had exploded into global fame with Ziggy Stardust.
There's a starman waiting in the sky.
A theatrical alien from outer space, Ziggy was an avatar for Bowie's wildest creative ambitions. The character blurred reality and fiction, and for a time, Bowie was Ziggy.
I wanted to define the archetype Messiah rock star. That's all I wanted to do.
Ziggy's flamboyant persona allowed Bowie to explore gender, sexuality, and identity in an era that wasn't quite ready for it.
I said many years ago that I was a bisexual.
The performances were legendary, but Bowie later confessed that Ziggy had taken him over. He felt he was losing himself to the character. The adoration was intoxicating, but the pressure was immense. He was exhausted, terrified of irrelevance, and increasingly reliant on drugs just to keep going. In 1975, Bowie introduced a new persona, the thin, white Duke. Unlike Ziggy, the Duke wasn't flamboyant. He was skeletal, slick, and cold. He drank milk and ate peppers.
There's a fly floating around in my milk, and there's a foreign body in it, you see, and he's getting a lot of milk. It's kind of how I feel.
He sang with icy detachment. He also barely remembered the entire year. Bowie once described the Duke as, quote, a nasty character indeed, a European aristocrat, a man without emotion.
I just wanted to go out and sing my songs as a songwriter for a bit. Yeah.
Bowie at this point weighed around 95 pounds. He lived in Los Angeles, but in near total isolation. His life was consumed by cocaine, paranoia, and ritualistic habits.
I guess, a lot of it had to have been my trying to function behind what really was an extremely shy, reclusive kind of personality that I had. And
this wasn't just a rock star struggling with excess. It was a man losing his grip on reality. By 1976, Bowie's cocaine addiction had reached life-threatening levels. He was using around the clock.
Mr. Bowie maintains his innocence. He's never been arrested before in his life, and I think it's quite obvious, a man of his reputation, that if he were in fact involved in drugs in any way, he would have been arrested numerous times.
He was convinced that witches were trying to steal his semen to create the Antichrist. That wasn't a metaphor. He actually believed that. He would spend hours drawing protective pentagrams on the floor of his house. He became obsessed with Aleister Crowley and Kabbalistic mysticism, blending occult research with delusional paranoia. One of the lesser-known moments occurred when Bowie, convinced that evil forces were surrounding his home, hired a white witch named Wally Elmlark to exorcise his Los Angeles mansion. She burned incense, chanted incantations, and tossed holy water around the property. Bowie later said that she got rid of the demons. Bowie also believed the Rolling Stones were using black magic. He feared Mick Jagger, and especially Jimmy Page, who had a well-documented interest in Crowley. Bowie told friends he felt Page was trying to psychically control him. At one point, he stopped accepting phone calls unless the lines were swept for interference. He was convinced that shadows he saw in his house were government agents or demons. He slept with a pile of books on magic next to his bed, and often with weapons nearby. Bowie claimed he saw bodies falling past his windows in LA. He believed they were omens, or spirits trying to contact him. It's not clear if this was hallucination, metaphor, or something else, but it terrified him. Bowie's obsession with mysticism deepened. He spent hours immersed in books about the Kabbalah, Toro, Egyptian mysticism, and Crowley's Thelema.
I was always very seriously affected by my dreams.
He spoke in interviews about being under psychic attack and trying to cleanse himself spiritually. In one instance, Bowie reportedly kept a jar of his own urine in the refrigerator because he feared witches could curse him through bodily fluids. This story, confirmed by multiple sources, illustrates how deeply unwell he was. Despite all this, he continued working. Station to Station was released during this time, an album that's both brilliant and unsettling. Bowie said he had no memory of recording it. At his lowest, Bowie lived in near total seclusion. His mansion in LA had blacked out windows. The sun barely reached him. He subsisted on peppers and milk, slept little, and obsessed over magical protection. He once said, "I was convinced that a lot of people I knew were actually trying to kill me. It was just craziness. I was at the end of my tether." Friends were afraid to visit. When they did, they often found Bowie pacing, muttering, or fixated on strange rituals. In 1976, Bowie fled to Berlin. He needed to get clean. He needed to get out. He joined Iggy Pop, and together they lived in near anonymity, renting a modest apartment and biking through the city.
Well, both Iggy and I felt that it might be time to clean up, so we were very smart about it. We went straight out of LA to the harrowing capital of Europe, Berlin.
There, Bowie found peace in routine. He painted, walked, made music again, clean, sober, and alert. He recorded Low, Heroes, and Lodger, now known as the Berlin Trilogy.
God, if we can't write in this place, we can't write anywhere, you know. And we're straighten up as well.
The paranoia didn't disappear overnight, but it faded. The transformation had begun.
David took one look at the photograph and freaked right out. He stood there, death-white, rigid and shaking. And it got worse. His arm encircling my waist was black. In his scheme of things,
David Bowie's spiral into madness is not just a tale of drugs or fame. It's a story of the thin line between genius and destruction, but it's also a story of rebirth. He turned pain into music, delusion into art, and insanity into a legacy that will outlive us all. Thanks for watching. If this journey into Bowie's darkest years resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. This was the story of when David Bowie lost his mind and found his way back.